Good morning, Afghanistan. Did you miss me? Welcome back to my less than 12-part series on the ongoing events in Afghanistan, as well as what it's like to be a first-time parent. For those of you who never listened before, my name is Eric Vernston. You can call me Vern, or as I'm known on the interwebs, at Laugh and Learn Vern. Let's get right into it. Yes, I said I would do this every day. As it turns out, raising a child, pretty difficult. Not just difficult, but more time consuming. And you just never know what's going to happen because nothing matters about you. It matters about them. So what have I learned over the last couple of days? Well, sleep. Wow. Being sleep deprived, terrible. I didn't realize how poorly my decisions were when I didn't have sleep. And in fact, that sentence doesn't even really make sense. Just little things like, I couldn't think of this one receiver on Carolina who I drafted in fantasy football. I just couldn't think of his name. I had him last year too, and it just wasn't there. You just can't think of things. You're just kind of confused. On the bright side, having a child cuddle on you is, especially your child, and it should be your child. It'd be kind of weird if it wasn't, but unless you know them. But having your child cuddle on you is just, there's nothing like that. It's just an amazing feeling, and it's going great. And it's a bonding experience too for Mariana and I, just getting used to each other in close quarters and not sleeping and looking back and laughing about all the stupid arguments about nothing and then having another one about nothing. Of course, they always get resolved the same way. Usually I'm wrong, which typically I am. So that's okay because she's great. But yeah, it's been really fun. He's been great. He's eating like every couple hours, sleeps 2 to 3 hours, which is good. He's staying up more during the day, sleeping more at night. But yeah, it just really made me have appreciation for stay-at-home moms. We got to do a better job in this country of paying for 8 weeks is nothing. An 8-week leave is nothing. I know some companies don't even have paid leave, which seems crazy. We got to get that to at least 6 months. As people have said, well, we have all this money for war. Why don't we have money for paid healthcare? Well, here's the reason. Because war sells. And no one in the media really cares about your family. Okay. You know what they care about? They care about ratings. They care about Brian Williams putting on a helmet and going into watching things in battle and then coming back and lying about what actually happened. That's why you don't have paid healthcare. Because losers in the media and others want war. And that goes into Afghanistan. It's all tied in. I think it was Jordan Schachtel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but I saw this via Mike Cernovich's feed, which I love at Cernovich. I have to literally start pushing away. It's like literally addictive. He's amazing how he curates. But I would recommend checking him out. Jordan Schachtel brought up a good point. It's kind of weird that both sides are just so against what's going on, right? Like when has the media on the left and right both been united on anything? Usually not. So it's kind of that should raise your flags, right? In your head, go, that's weird. Like, why is NBC News agreeing with Fox? It doesn't ever happen. The media needs war. They need drama. They need things going on. They need something to cover. Most of their lives, from what I can tell, given all the fake news going on, they're just mostly empty, soulless vessels, and they need something to fill the longing in their heart. And usually it's people getting killed. That's been going on for 20 years. Who was pushing weapons of MD? New York Times. Plenty of examples. They need this war. They need things to go on. So one of the things Jordan Schachtel pointed out is actually, it sounds like the Taliban is letting American citizens get to wherever they want and get out of there. It's just the media is trying to push these narratives. And if you think about it from a motivation standpoint, why would the Taliban, let's say you're the Taliban, okay? You are taking over this country and you want to impose your views on everything. And you have a lot of things you have to do. Why would you want Americans hanging around? Why would you want the American press having a reason to be there? You don't. You want everyone out so you can do whatever you want, usually in the darkness of the evil that you have in your heart, because you're a terrorist organization. So you want the Americans out. So it doesn't, if you think about it from a motivational standpoint, you don't want the Americans there. So it doesn't really make any sense that Americans wouldn't be able to get out. So there's obviously more. This is another point. We just don't know what's going on. It's easy to criticize the Biden administration, especially if you didn't vote for him. It's just like, oh my gosh, well, not my president. I didn't do that. But we don't know what's going on. We really don't. The whole Bagram Air Force Base, on its face, it looks like, why would we ever give that up? And to me, it still doesn't make sense. But there's obviously stuff we don't know. We'll eventually find out in 5 or 10 years when none of this matters anymore. But for now, there's just a lot we don't know. If you think about human motivation, a lot of this will make more sense. And that's why it's easier to question the media and what they're doing. Taliban doesn't want Americans there. Why would they want us there? They want us out. They were chanting death to America a week ago. They want us out. And why? Not just because they don't hate us, because they need us out so they can govern the way they need to govern. They can't have Americans there. All of a sudden, they're tearing down all the gender posters and all the UN equality stuff. They need to do that without cameras around. That's what they need to do. So they need Americans out. So that makes sense. The media needs ratings. What would sell more than people watching the news to hear about all the drama going on in Afghanistan? It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. They need people watching, and they need those human interest stories. They need to find out about the one person who the family got out, but they couldn't get out, and it's horrible, and how are they going to do things? That's what they need. So if they don't have ratings, they don't have jobs. They don't have jobs, they're going to have to actually, learn a useful skill. If you frame it like that, a lot of what's going on in Afghanistan makes more sense. Mostly that we can't really trust any of the reporting that we're getting. We have to take it for just like, okay. And then on the other hand, then we have the White House press briefing yesterday where Peter Doocy, I think he works at Fox News, said something like, what about this? Jen Psaki, what about the stranded Americans? To which she was like, they're not stranded. I don't appreciate you saying stranded, okay? We talk to them at all times, and they're able to get out whenever they want, okay? They're fine. We talk to them. We text them. We email them. We send them Snapchats, okay? It's great, okay? I have a great internet in Afghanistan, apparently. But then on the other hand, we see tweets that say the CIA director was just in Afghanistan negotiating with the Taliban. Now, the key there is just in Afghanistan. I don't think I'm assuming, I don't know if it's he or she. Adjust the camera a little bit. There you go. There we go. Yeah, I'm wearing shorts. There you go. So I think it's I don't know if it's he or she, but whoever it is there. Oh, camera stuff. Here we go. I'm not trying to show my crotch. It's weird. All right. Okay, there we go. There we go. So the CIA director was there. So here's a question. So CIA director was able to fly in and fly out of Afghanistan. How are they able to do that when we still have Americans there? And why are those Americans not being prioritized immediately? And why was the CIA director needing to go to Afghanistan? Isn't that the whole point of having Zoom? Can't we have a secure Zoom call with the Taliban? In my job, we have defendants who are able to use Zoom. Some of these people barely have smartphones, and they're able to use Zoom. I got to think a group that just took over an entire country would know how to use Zoom. Why do we have to have people fly in there? And if he or she did fly in there, then why can't we then get more Americans out? I don't understand questions. These are questions that need to be asked. Like, the CIA director can fly in and out. Why can't we get all these Americans in and out? What's going on? Because we know the Taliban doesn't want them there because, as I explained moments ago, human motivation. They don't want us there. Get the West out. Get all these journalists out. We need to impose our 6th century Islamic caliphate. We don't have time for your feelings. So that was interesting. What about all these people stranded? Well, they're not stranded. We send them text messages all the time. We're committed to getting them home, but they're not home yet. So technically, I think they're stranded. Do we need to argue about the term stranded? What does stranded really mean? Well, they're not here. They're currently being held pseudo hostage by the Taliban, as far as I'm concerned, because if they're not here and the Taliban's potentially blocking them for whatever reason, which I don't think they are, but let's say they are, then yeah, they kind of are stranded in Afghanistan because they're not here. But it's just interesting. I take offense to that term. We text them all the time. So that was amusing. I'm trying to think of what else. I had another point. I usually just read some stuff on the internet and then start talking because I like to just improv everything. Let's see. I'll come back to it. Oh, going back to childcare. So yeah, so that's a great question. Is we have, the military budget continues to expand. I'm in the military, so selfishly, I'm like, yeah, it's great. We'll take raises. That's fantastic. We got to do a better job of helping people here. We have to help people in this country. I mean, I saw something the other, or I think it was today or yesterday, but McAllen, Texas took 11,000 illegal immigrants from the border, or something like that, and like they had a 14% positivity rate for COVID. So something like between 1 and 2,000 of them had COVID, and they're just putting them in Texas. Like, what are we doing? Why are we letting people commit crimes and then they have COVID, and then we're putting them in American cities? Like, it's just like our government like, we have to stop. I get it. There's a lot of awful things going on in the world. Terribly awful. I saw another tweet. It was like a 6th journalist, I think this year in Mexico was murdered. A 6th journalist was murdered in Mexico. Can you imagine how brave you have to be a journalist in Mexico covering police corruption and the cartels? Are you kidding me? Imagine the huevos on that person. Meanwhile, so that's, where's I going with this? Still got some dad brain fog here. At least that's what I'll call it. So what are we doing? Why, now that we're winding down Afghanistan, it's, we'll see. History will judge how it's going. Both sides are saying it's not going well, which should obviously make everyone a little suspicious as to what's really going on. What are we doing? Like, why are we trying to save the rest of the world? I want, after we get everyone home, we need to take a deep dive in Afghanistan. I don't care if you're retired of 20 years. I don't care if you're on death's doorstep. You're coming before Congress, and we need to know what you knew and when you knew it. Because I was reading some of these Afghanistan papers. I believe those were published in 2019 in the Washington Post. I found a couple Twitter threads on them, but it sounds like it's been a disaster from day one. People didn't know what was going on, poor communication, money just being thrown around like crazy. I think I saw something that was along the lines that we were paying like $1 million per soldier for just it was insane. Like, and a buddy of mine pointed this out, and we'll have him on the podcast again. Twitter, Michael O'Hogan. Actually, I don't think he's on Twitter. I think he's been kicked off for a little bit. But when he was on Twitter, Michael O'Hogan, that's his name. He's saying, like, no one's ever really tried to nation build. Like, maybe we should just try to make Afghanistan a colony, which is an interesting idea, because I don't know why we would have done that, but I guess it might have been better than trying to nation build. Like, this whole thing's just been so bad. And now that I'm a parent, it's apparent how stupid a lot of these decisions were. It's like, why is money being, like, we need to look at what everything government is doing. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the internet and Twitter specifically, is now we're able to see what government's doing in real time. And people are like, oh, government screwed up, whatever. Like, government is big. It's a huge bureaucracy. There's always going to be issues. The bigger the company, the more issues are going to happen, because it's just a bigger chain. Like, small companies, a couple people, whatever, you can just talk about it. But the bigger it gets, the communication gets screwed up. And it's just interesting that the internet allows us now to see how our government's operating in real time. I mean, Congress has a 9% approval rating. We can see what they're doing. And now I think that one of the best things about the internet and where blockchains are headed is now we're going to be able to not build I don't want to say build new institutions, but we're going to be able to recreate things. We need to recreate a lot of things. We need to take a look at first principles for everything. Just like, what are we trying to do here? What we need to support. I think families need to be supported, number one, because if you don't have a strong family structure, you're going to have a lot of the issues that we see today. Like, do you think the people involved in Antifa just go home to some sort of loving family and they got a dog and a white picket fence? Like, I'm guessing these people are screwed up. It made me think of abortion. We need first principles. No, it's not just, everyone wants to, you can, women's right to choose, protect the baby. Okay, well, why are people having abortions? What are the underlying issues? where are they coming from? What's their socioeconomic status? Are they in certain areas? Are they in more big cities? Are they in rural towns? My guess is poor big cities is where you'd probably see a lot of this, because that's where most people are neglected. Like Chicago, for instance, I would guess has a way higher abortion rate, if that's even a thing calculated, than I'm trying to think of Pecatonica, Illinois. Per capita. I'm guessing that's what you have. I don't even know what the socioeconomic status of Pecatonica is, but I'm guessing that it's more rural, or I know it's more rural than Chicago. So you're going to have just less abortions. But like, that's the things like, let's get the first principles. And instead of calling each other racist or fascist or whatever, we need to think more about why are these issues happening? Like immigration's another one. Okay, people are leaving their countries. Their countries suck. Fine. I get it. I can't imagine what that's like. Just like being a parent, one of the things I've learned is now I realize the value of time. I just had no idea. And it's so funny. You think about like just before, and people told me, it's like, wait till you have kids, you'll have no time. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to do things now. And I try to be proactive, but there is nothing like realizing you've got like 30 minutes to get stuff done, because he might wake up early. He might be fussy. And it is the best thing in the world when your child is sleeping on your chest and he's a little cuddly baby. But also, what are you supposed to, you can't do anything. I mean, at the same time, why would you do anything? Because it's a cute cuddly baby on your chest. And sometimes he opens his eyes and he makes all those goofy noises and faces, and it's the best. But you can't do anything. Like you're not doing anything. Time is just so precious. And it just makes me think that our government, generally speaking, we need to see how are they spending their time? What are they arguing about? We had this January 6th hearings, and they were so dramatic, and tears were held and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, let's just call a spade like a spade. Violence against the police, breaking the Capitol was bad. That was bad. Okay. Was it as bad as what happened last summer with billions of dollars of damage and 20 people killed? No, not even close. And it's not even remotely close to that. We all know it. We all saw it. Call a spade a spade. We should have hearings on what happened there. How did all these cities get destroyed? Where was the funding? Where did funding come from there? Where is that? Right? Where's that? Where are the priorities? Okay. So now let's take it a step back. Okay. Should those even be priorities, or should we be having hearings on why we don't have 6 months of paid health care for moms in the United States? Maybe that should be the hearing. Maybe we go, you know what? Last summer did suck, and everything at the Capitol did suck. But you know what sucks more? The fact that a mother has to leave her child at home after 8 weeks. That's way worse, I think, collectively as a society than anything that happened last summer. Obviously, losing your business is terrible. Losing a life is awful. And any violence, especially at our nation's capital, is awful. But the fact that we have a society that is totally okay with mothers, and again, and I'm saying this, and if anyone adopts kids, you're awesome. Anyone should take care of a child. But there's nothing like, we have to, and again, I will die on this hill, okay? There's nothing like having a baby and raising that baby when it was inside of you. I see that with my girlfriend. I understand why my mom was always like, text me when you get there. She's still, to this day, I'm almost 35 years old, and I text my mom when I get somewhere if I tell her it's going to be a long trip. She just wants to know, because I was raised in her and she raised me. And we have to do a better job of moms that have children. We have to do better with that. And we have to do better for families. And it goes to, bigger issues, inflation. Why do we trust the Fed? I don't trust the Fed. Why do we trust them? They're just printing money like crazy. Why, could we go back to a gold standard? Is that possible? Like, why do we just trust? I don't trust experts anymore. I don't trust any of them. COVID, as awful as it's been, has been probably one of the best things ever. If you're looking back at zooming out 20, 50 years from now, COVID might end up being one of the best things to ever really happen, because people finally woke up and said, what are we doing here? Another example would be, go look at what's going on in Australia. It's like straight out of Fahrenheit 451. I mean, it is nuts. Go find some YouTube videos on the reporting going on in Australia where people aren't doing what's right. They literally call it that. They're arresting people for hanging out on a beach and it's like $1,000 fine. It's insane. And that's not even the closest of it. That's literally, it's insane. COVID's exposing all this. COVID is exposing all of this. And I know it sucks right now, and it's probably going to continue to suck, but that's good. We need to see how our institutions are working. We need to see which ones are failing, and we can see that in real time, and then we can adjust from there. Putting this all together, being a parent has made me realize how precious life is and how precious time is. And we need to do a better job of providing that time to our mothers and to families. We need to focus on that. We don't need to worry about nation building. We need to do a better job of protecting our border so we don't have to worry about 2,000 people getting COVID in Texas. Okay. We have to get that result. We have to stop worrying about other countries. Okay. I understand Guatemala sucks, but if we're not careful, America is going to also suck. We have to, I'm not going to say the phrase, we have to look at first principles. You know the phrase I'm going for, what we have to do to make America. You know what I was going for. We have to go back to first principles. We have to figure out what works. What are we trying to do? We need to be able to have people raise families. We need to make things affordable. And if we don't focus on that, if prices continue to rise, we take our eye off the ball. We have all these dramatic hearings about things that don't actually affect real people and real families, then yeah, not great, America. But I have faith. I see people running for school boards. I see people talking more and having dialogue. I feel like an American resurgence and rebirth is coming from COVID. I've never been more positive about this country in my entire life. And I truly love you all, and I appreciate everyone who listens and watches. And I have to end this on a disclaimer. I keep forgetting to do this. I do post this, but this is not the unofficial or official position of the United States Army or the Department of Defense or any of my employers. This is not related to any of them. They're not sponsoring this. They're having nothing to do with this. I respect them all. I'm so proud that I get to serve my country and that I get to be a prosecutor. But trust me, this is no position. Anything I'm saying has nothing to do with them. Completely unrelated. This is just a sleep-deprived father with a few thoughts. So on that note, I hope things do go well in Afghanistan. I hope that we can get out of there and that we can focus more family first. We need to do a better job of family first. And another last note, we need to bring back singing in church choirs. We need to let people have more of that connection to each other and that connection to God. And that's just one thing that we need to do. Focus on families, continue to do that. And I think things are going to work out well. I truly do love you all. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate what you do when I don't even see it, because I know you're all wonderful people. And talk to you later.